So I was having a very mild-mannered, courteous conversation with someone the other day about religion and about, belief in God and whatnot. And I really enjoy talking about that most of the time, as long as you can find someone who's not, really, really aggressive and just really trying to change your mind immediately and being like, "You're gonna burn in hell," just like being like that, like a street preacher or something. And so it was really going very well, having a good conversation. Obviously, neither of us thought that we were going to change the other's mind, just because even if your mind is changed during an argument, you don't just usually say, "Yeah, you're right. I changed my mind," because everybody deals with pride and arrogance, and even if they do prove you wrong, you're more likely to go home and be like, "You know what? They are right." And then next time you get together with them, you pretend as though somehow you came to that epiphany on your own volition and they didn't really play that big of an impact on it. But anyway, I was talking to them, and near the end of the conversation, or I guess at the end of the conversation, almost casually, they say, "Well, I'm not worried about you because I know you'll come back before the end." And that was it. And part of me really wanted to get really pissed off and aggressive just because of how profoundly insulting that is to me. But I realized immediately that this person didn't even realize how offensive the thing that he said was. He didn't even understand. Like, it is one of those, trite little sayings that you're ingrained with your whole life if you grow up in that kind of culture, in the Christian mindset, like kind of like, "I'll pray for you," or something like that. It's just so natural for you to say something like that he didn't even understand how much of an insult it was to me. Because when you say to someone, "You'll come back before the end," or "You'll repent and come back to our side of the battlefield before you die," it's almost like saying, aside from the fact that it's clearly condescending, it's clearly saying like, "Oh yeah, well, you really just don't understand reality on the same level I do. You can't even comprehend the fallacy of your ways. You don't even understand my level of thinking. You're so foolish down there in the gutter, wallowing in your own muck and shit and barely being able to put a coherent thought together, while I'm up here on this ivory pillar of intellectual fortitude just sneering down at you. You'll come back before the end, before you burn in hell for eternity." Like, it's just insulting in that way. But aside from that, it's also just, it's a threat, It's a thinly veiled threat under the auspices of being helpful, Because it's almost like they're trying to remind me and say, "Hey, guess what? You're gonna burn. You're gonna burn in hell. You're gonna die, and you're gonna suffer for eternity." And all of this was said under the guise of trying to help me, under the guise of pretending like, "Oh yeah, well, you'll come back before the end. You'll repent of your evil, sinful ways, you poor wretch, and realize how right I am." And it was just so profoundly impactful to me, and it elicited such a reaction. I didn't say anything to the person. I didn't say anything at all because I thought, "Hey, I don't want to, start up an argument for no reason," when clearly what he just said, he doesn't even realize how insulting it is to me. And if I were to bring it up, he would just think I was being overly sensitive, and I don't want to get dragged down into the muck. When you're in an argument with someone, or a debate rather, because I don't want to call it an argument because it was a discussion. You don't want to get focused on those little tiny, tidbits and those niggling little phrases that irritate you, because then you're just stooping to the same level as them. But to me, this was just an eye-opening experience, and I can still remember back when I was religious when I was younger, and I would say the same thing to people in discussions, and I would say that, and my mindset was, I'm doing them a favor. They'll turn around before the end if I just, leave that little seed of fear of hell in them. But what of course I didn't realize at the time is that, fear of hell is, or rather belief is a prerequisite for the fear of hell. You're not going to be afraid of hell if you don't believe in the religion already. That doesn't make sense. Just like I'm sure that 0% of Christians out there are afraid of being tortured for eternity by the evil Norse god Loki, or being taken down into the Egyptian god Hel and tortured if they're wrong, because that just doesn't cross your mind, because you have to believe in something before you can be afraid of it. But anyway, we're getting into a way different way different discussion now. But I just wanted to share that with you guys, and I'm sure most of you most likely, just on the percentage of the world, are religious, and I have no problem with religious people. I don't, as long as they're not trying to tell me what I can and can't do in my own life. But this was just one of those instances where I really realized how hurtful my actions were in the past, and I didn't even realize it, just being on the other end of that equation for the first time, or one of the first times. So hope this was enlightening or entertaining, or maybe made you think a little bit. And if you enjoy these kind of videos, feel free to leave a rating. If not, yell at me and say mean things in the comment section. I love reading those. But anyway, that's all I've got to say, and I love you.